In May of 1945, as the ruins of the Third Reich smoldered and Adolf Hitler lay dead in his bunker, one of the most feared weapons of the Second World War quietly lost its purpose. Scattered across the oceans of the world were hundreds of German U-boats. Some were damaged, some were surrendering, some were still at sea, cut off, confused, and unaware the war was over. For nearly 6 years, these steel predators had terrorized the Atlantic. They strangled supply lines, sent thousands of Allied sailors to the bottom of the sea, and nearly brought Britain to its knees. And then, suddenly, it was over. But what happened next is a story rarely told. Were they destroyed? Were they studied? Did any escape? Did some surrender years later? Tonight, we uncover the hidden fate of Nazi Germany's U-boat fleet after World War II, a story of mass surrender, secret operations, Cold War intelligence, and thousands of submarines deliberately erased from history. Chapter 1. Hitler's Silent Weapon. At the height of World War II, Germany possessed the largest submarine fleet in the world. More than 1,150 U-boats were built during the war. These submarines were not just ships, they were weapons of psychological terror. Operating in wolf packs, U-boats hunted Allied convoys in the Atlantic, Caribbean, Arctic, and even the Gulf of Mexico. For years, German submariners believed they were the elite, knights of the deep. But by 1943, the tide had turned. Allied radar, sonar, escort carriers, long-range aircraft, and code-breaking shattered U-boat dominance. Losses mounted. Crews died faster than they could be trained. By 1945, the U-boat arm was bleeding out. And then came Germany's unconditional surrender. Chapter 2. The Final Order. Surrender or Scuttle. On May 4, 1945, Grand Admiral Karl Dönitz, Hitler's successor, issued one final order to the U-boat fleet. It was simple and devastating. All U-boats are to cease hostilities and surrender to Allied forces. For men trained to fight to the death, this was unthinkable. Many U-boat captains faced a grim choice: surrender to the enemy or destroy their own submarine. Some crews feared execution, some feared Soviet captivity. Many simply couldn't accept defeat. Within days, white flags were raised on U-boat conning towers across the oceans. Chapter 4. Mass Surrender at Sea. The scale of the surrender was unprecedented in naval history. Over 150 German U-boats surrendered intact to the Allies. They surfaced in the North Atlantic, the Bay of Biscay, Norwegian fjords, British ports, American harbors. U-boats arrived flying black flags or white sheets tied to their periscopes. Crews stood on deck, thin, exhausted, silent. Some submarines limped in with barely functioning engines. Others arrived spotless, meticulously maintained. To Allied sailors, it felt surreal. The hunters had become prisoners. Chapter 5. Operation Deadlight. Erasing a Navy. The Allies quickly faced a problem. What do you do with hundreds of enemy submarines? The answer was brutal. Operation Deadlight. Between late 1945 and early 1946, the British Royal Navy carried out a massive operation to destroy the surrendered U-boat fleet. More than 120 submarines were deliberately sunk in the Atlantic. Why? Because keeping them was expensive, selling them risked spreading German technology, letting them exist symbolized unfinished war. U-boats were towed far out to sea. Explosive charges were set. Some were used as gunnery targets, others were simply scuttled. One by one, they vanished beneath the waves. Ironically, many sank accidentally during towing. Poor weather and structural decay claimed them before demolition crews could. The Atlantic floor became a graveyard of German steel. Chapter 5. The American Interest. The U.S. Navy had a different idea. Instead of destroying everything, the U.S. Navy wanted knowledge.
German U-boats, especially the newer models, were far more advanced than anything the Allies possessed. The prize submarines. The U.S. captured several key U-boats, including U-505, captured intact in 1944, Type 21 electroboat submarines, revolutionary designs. These boats were shipped to American ports under secrecy. U-505 became the only enemy warship captured by the U.S. Navy at sea since 1812. Its technology influenced Cold War submarine design, nuclear submarine development, post-war sonar and propulsion systems. Today, U-505 sits preserved in the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. Chapter 6. The Soviet Grab. The Soviet Union also demanded its share. Several U-boats were handed over to the USSR as war reparations. Soviet engineers studied German hull designs, snorkel systems, battery technology. These studies directly influenced Soviet Cold War submarines. Even some former German submarines served briefly under Soviet flags before being scrapped or sunk. Ironically, Nazi technology helped fuel the Cold War arms race. Chapter 7. The Last U-boats to Surrender. Not every U-boat surrendered immediately. Some were still at sea, weeks, even months later. U-977. This submarine fled Germany in May 1945. Its captain feared Soviet capture and chose to sail to Argentina. The journey took 66 days, mostly submerged using a snorkel. When U-977 arrived, it sparked rumors. Hitler had escaped. Nazi leaders fled by submarine, secret bases in Antarctica. None of it was true, but the mystery endured. U-530. Another U-boat arrived in Argentina months after the war. Its late arrival fueled conspiracy theories that persist to this day. In reality, both crews were interrogated extensively. No treasure, no Hitler, no secret escape. Just fear, confusion, and denial. Chapter 8. U-boat crews. What became of the men? The fate of the submarines was sealed, but what about the sailors? Over 30,000 German submariners died during the war, nearly 75% casualty rate. Those who survived surrender faced years of captivity, interrogation, labor camps, psychological trauma. Some never returned home until the 1950s. Others emigrated. Some joined post-war navies. Many never spoke about their service again. For them, the war didn't end in 1945. Chapter 9. The Sunken Legacy. Today, hundreds of German U-boats lie scattered across the ocean floor. Some are war graves, others are artificial reefs. Many remain undiscovered. They rust silently in darkness, forgotten weapons of a forgotten war. Divers still find them, historians still debate them, conspiracy theorists still mythologize them. But their true story is simpler and more tragic. Chapter 10. Why the U-boats had to disappear. The destruction of the U-boat fleet wasn't just practical, it was symbolic. Germany's submarines represented industrialized warfare, unrestricted naval war, a weapon that blurred the line between soldier and civilian. The Allies wanted a clean break. No trophies, no monuments, no second chances. So they sank them. Conclusion. Silence below the waves. The German U-boats were once the most feared machines on Earth. They prowled the oceans unseen. They changed naval warfare forever. They nearly won the war in the Atlantic. And then, quietly, they vanished. Not in victory, not in glory, but in silence, at the bottom of the sea.